Hey, 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 live from Denver. It's Friday night. Oh, let's get this, get that turned off. Oh my God. Please forgive my lack of haircut. I got the Frankenstein head going on today. It is awful. I have been fighting it all day. It's really crazy, kind of windy and hot here today.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. But I guess it's going to start cooling off.
Yeah, I think next week it's supposed to get cooler.
Right. But we do have the AC and things going because it's just in that realm of, damn, it's hot. I wish it was cooler. Okay, I'll do it. I'll turn the AC on. Anyway, hi critics. Hey everybody. Happy to see all the usual suspects in the comment section. Welcome to the show. And as you can see, I am joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
Yay. Okay, I'm kind of situated too close to you. I think you can come in a little bit if you want.
Oops.
Okay, there we go. And if we're really quiet and careful, then the little furry one below us won't be disturbed too much and interrupt our broadcast. Okay, what a week. I'm a little beat. It was a week. Live streaming, the news show. I really hope you guys are enjoying that news show. I'm probably going to be taking it public very, very soon, in that I will be changing it over to just going live with everybody, because I think that's probably the way to get a little bit more engagement. And in fact, you guys mostly being the people who have been seeing it, and my members and channel viewers, I would like your feedback on an idea that I have on how to maybe turn that over into a live, where I do it live for everybody, not just for members. And in that live, got to keep my eye on the little guy.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, hey. Chill out there, down there. What I'm thinking is that since it will be live, and I've got this wonderful teleprompter, thank you. And I am putting this ideal studio together, by the way. I've got all kinds of ideas right now, and I'm trying to put it so it's kind of I figure it out once, and then I've got it figured out. So I'm taking a little bit of time with that. As I do with everything, I just take my time. Anyway, on the live show, what I'm thinking is I have this ability to start and stop my script, right? And so what I could do is I could go through the first story and then maybe take questions or feedback from the chat. Then, one or two, no big thing, and on topic. Otherwise, there's no point. And then go into the next story, do that, take some Q&A or commentary or whatever from the chat, and then finish the third story and wrap up and chat and then wrap up the show. So that's an idea. I just want to get your feedback on it. If it's a bad idea, tell me, and if you think it might have legs, then tell me that too, and we can go from there. Oh my God!
Vincent got a haircut today, so he's kind of having a little bit of a...
He's having a little bit of a thing here, yeah. And we kept him in here because usually he's totally chill, but I think he's a little. I think he's still a little pumped today.
Yeah.
You're about to see this. First,
so
let's go ahead and get the quote of the week from Mel, and then we will take a look at our Benson Cam.
All right. This is about jobs and dreams. We all have different dreams and different worlds we want to dominate. Your favorite food is someone else's phobia. Your dream job is someone else's worst nightmare. Your perfect world is unique to you.
That's very true. That is so true. The relativism of viewpoints and ideas and even, morals and stuff. It's awesome. Speaking of awesome. Okay, guys. So I don't know if you're going to be able to deal with the cuteness here. Okay, this is a warning. Okay, this is kind of cuteness trigger warning here. Here is our Snuggles Not Struggles cam for this week, and there is our beautiful little furry bundle of joy. And you can see he's a lot less furry. This was literally within minutes of him coming home from the groomer today, and he is just so lean and trim and. I just kind of lose my mind over the cuteness when when he's like this, because he's just, when he gets his hair all long and baggy and bushy and over his eyes, he's got a whole other kind of cuteness going on.
Yeah.
It's sort of that furry,
moppy sort of cuteness.
Moppy. That's the word. There it is. Yeah. But this is who's hiding underneath there the whole time is little Benson there. So you can see him on the couch there. So anyway, like I said, that's I don't know if you guys are ready for that cuteness challenge, but there's our Benson.
Yes.
Oh, I love that dog.
Adorable.
Oh, I love that dog. Okay, so okay. I had another thing I wanted to show you before I forget. And
oh yeah.
This week, I was part of a production that is still being produced regarding Scientology. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want the church to know more about it than that until it's out. But I, as part of that production, was asked to produce some photos of my early life as a Scientologist kid and staff member and Sea Org member. Now, I don't have a lot of pics of me from those time periods. I got a ton of pictures from when I was a kid, but I don't have a bunch of pictures from staff or from the Sea Org that are just me. I have photos with other people in them, but I didn't want to show those because I am not going to do that to those people. So this is, I just thought this might be kind of fun. So that is young Chris there with very young parents back in, I think that's 1970. It's when I was probably still like one face. 1970, 71. So there's young chubby Chris, and then there is high school Chris. This is my senior photo. I can't believe I was ever that young. It's horrifying to look at me.
You don't even look like a high school senior. You look younger than that.
Yeah, and remember, I was also started a year earlier in school. That's true. And so, this is 17 years old, graduating high school. Okay, then this is me in Santa Barbara on staff. This is a staff photo from I think it's the downstairs HCO space, I think. I believe that's what that's a picture of. And if I'm remembering it wrong, then I might be remembering it wrong. I mean, it's possible this is from Sea Org, but this was collected with all the staff photos. So I believe this is from Santa Barbara. And in fact, I'm positive it was from Santa Barbara. This is a back office space there. Yeah. Okay, good. Memory's not failing me quite yet. And then this is me in the Sea Org. And this is one of the very few pictures I have with is just me. I didn't want to get into showing other people, like I said. But that's my shining grimacing whatever countenance as a Sea Org member with my campaign bars. And that chain indicates I was a petty officer. I think I made about 2 or 3 ranks the whole time I was in the Sea Org. It was not really my thing. But this I have put up. This photo you may have seen before in a few places, but I found it again. I lost it, and so digging them up for this production, I did that. And then the other thing I wanted to show you guys is, by your suggestion, I have taken action here, and this is a design idea I had for a Snuggles Not Struggles for my merch, for my Spreadshirt store. I have not uploaded it yet because I wanted to kind of run it by you guys and see what the reaction was as to whether that might be something. It was suggested to me this would be, an idea of a new design. I haven't made a new design in a long time. And so this is a little image of Benson there that I created, and then Snuggles Not Struggles. So anyway, there you go, guys. So there's some... photo. What is that? A slideshow.
Slideshow.
There we go. Yeah, slideshow. So, okay. The other thing, of course, is that worth commenting on. If you saw me and Mitch Brisker yesterday, you saw us reacting in pretty real time to the Masterson sentencing. We all knew it was coming. It was really not a surprise what happened, and we're all extremely happy about that, because what we did not want was a surprise. We wanted this guy to go away now and not darken our door again, and that will be the case. Now, there will be, we actually will still be seeing Masterson in the civil trial. He is one of the defendants in the case being brought by the Jane Does against Masterson and the Church of Scientology. But that's a ways away for now. We're not going to be seeing that happening anytime soon because of all the motions and filings and various things that we know Scientology is going to bring to slow, delay, halt, all of that, just like they're going to do that with Leah's lawsuit. So these are two of the three powerful lawsuits happening right now, the other one being the human rights lawsuit in Florida. So, you know, we've got a lot of stuff kind of, you know, in the air, but it's slow motion now. Okay. These are not criminal. None of these are criminal cases. And then, you know, kind of in the wings, I suppose, in a fashion, was Valerie Haney's suit as well, which I think that's off to arbitration land right now. They want pics of you too?
Yeah. I saw that.
Okay, well, I'll leave that up to her to decide.
Next week or whatever,
if she
got some around. What
she wants to show you. Yes, we have some, and she's, you know, infinitely cute at all ages, because that's my wife. All right.
I don't know. There was a few. You didn't see one of my yearbook pictures. That was a bad hairdo. I think we try so hard and then look back and are just like, wow, what were we thinking? Yeah. You know, because oh man. Anyway, I saw Tori Magoo posted her high school photo on Facebook the other day, and I was just stunned. I mean, wow, you know, just to see how different, how similar, how you can totally see it, but how young and different we all looked when we were literally just kids. And the funny thing to me is looking back at how absolutely unreasonably naively, insanely cocky I was about my own knowledge and experience and belief in the world and how things were going to go. It's just shocking when you look at that and then you compare it to after you learn a few things. You know, which kind of leads into our topic for today. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. I have brought the sacred papers. Okay. So we are not doing Post-it notes of glory today. We are doing printed papers. So let me go through some of this with you guys and make a few points, because this is about why cult education matters, right? In other words, why getting educated about cults matters. And it matters for a lot more reasons than I think you might imagine, because there are reasons connected with this that have nothing to do with cults per se, but have everything to do with our ability to navigate our way through this world and not get taken advantage of or manipulated when we don't want to be. I think that's important. I think that has everything to do with how we actually manifest and realize our human rights. If we're going to have the rights to do all these things, wouldn't it be best if we did them in such a way that we weren't hindered or manipulated or coerced in practicing these things, and that we had a clear head, that we knew what we were doing, that we had some degree of emotional intelligence about what our weaknesses and vulnerabilities are, so that people don't take advantage of us and usurp our rights in the process of conning us out of them. There's so much that is beneficial to a person's life by understanding how predators and cult leaders and cults work. To me, this is so obvious. It's almost like I wish there was a predator proof license or something you had to get, like a driver's license. I mean, it's that
obvious. Like if you're going to take a 3,000 pound machine down the road, you got to know how to use it and stop it and start it. Well, if you're going to have a life, you're going to run into people who are going to try to mess with you, and they're going to try to mess with you in very serious ways. And sometimes those are violent ways, and sometimes those are criminal ways, but sometimes they are romantic ways, they are employment-related ways, they are entertainment ways. They come at you from all different directions, and you won't always see it coming, and you won't always recognize what's happening just by looking at the person or hearing how they talk and thinking, oh, I can spot a liar a mile away. I'm good.
Yeah, sure.
I know. Man, it just doesn't work that way.
It's like all that body language expert crap. It's like you have to know someone for a while before you know what their tells are. It's
Exactly.
just the way it is, you know?
Exactly. If you're going to really start talking about reading body language with people, you have to understand that. There's a lot of con people out there right now, just like the martial art gurus who've never studied or practiced a day in their life, but they know all the secret moves to five finger point palm death move and all that, but they couldn't block a punch. I mean, it's like this kind of thing, right? And I'm not saying that there is nothing to know about body language since it came up, but it's just interesting because even there, right? Even there, and I mean, neuro-linguistic programming. Right? Is this whole thing turned on its ear and turned into a practice that could be incredibly manipulative to people, and they think it's helping, right? So there's a lot to this. All right, so
Steven Seagal for sure.
Yeah. Oh God, exactly. So why occult education matters. So I listed some things out here, and we're going to go through these. Okay. First off, prevention and awareness, top of the list. Prevention and awareness. Obviously, right? Knowledge about cults helps individuals recognize the signs of cult-like behavior and manipulation. This awareness can protect people from falling victim to cults or high-control groups and can help friends and family members identify when someone they care about is involved in a potentially harmful group. There's a lot of unsuredness about this. There's people who suspect, they think, they wonder. Oh, thank you, Heather, for that super chat. They see things. Their alarm bells are going off. Something's wrong, but they don't know what. They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to describe it. They just know something's not right, and it ends up coming out stupid. They sound like idiots because they don't know what they're talking about, but they're absolutely right that something is wrong. I will point to the Ruby Frank story from the news this week. This woman was just arrested for child abuse, like serial child abuse. Her and Jody Hildebrandt, who was a licensed therapist. I think they're working on taking her license away now. Both of these women were advising on YouTube, on various YouTube channels over many years, how to be abusive parents. And this was advice they were giving to millions of people. This woman had 2.5 million followers at one point on YouTube. And people were going, this is wrong, this is abusive, something's really, not right about this. But but it took years and years for the officials involved to actually go and deal with it. So had we known more about this stuff, how this stuff really works, right, we could step in and prevent or get in the way of or stop that kind of thing sooner. I am not in any way naively walking through life thinking we're going to end abuse or end predators,
only, yeah.
right? That's not the point at all. It's kind of like, ending eating, it's just not going to happen. But we can do better. We can do better. Okay, so that's first point. Personal growth. This is top of the list for me. Personal growth is catharsis, is learning, is recovery, right? Learning about cults and how they operate can be a means of personal growth and self-awareness. It can lead to a greater understanding of the vulnerability of the human mind to manipulation and coercion, encouraging individuals to become more discerning and resilient. And that is my wish for everybody, is that we all become more discerning and resilient. Okay, now this is also on this line, multi-level marketing. large group awareness trainings, corporate trainings, various places where people run into predatory, manipulative tactics that are used against them. And when it comes to multi-level marketing scams, and all of them are scams, every single one of them, even the one you're thinking isn't one, that one too, they're all scams.
Probably the biggest one.
And yeah, exactly. And the reason why they work, the reason why people think they work is because they utilize cult recruitment and retention techniques. Right? How do you manipulate people? How do you get them to think it's their fault when they fail in a system that is designed to fail, that is built for them to fail in? How does, it's all tuned to put the blame on them and never on the system or the owner or the founder or the product. It's always them. And this is so universally accepted because people, generally speaking, have very poor self-image, and we all doubt ourselves. And it is so much easier to pile on someone and convince them how bad they are and how wrong they are and how stupid they are. It is immensely easier to do that than it is to build somebody up and get them to actually believe it and build a good, positive self-image of themselves. You might not think that with all the narcissists out there that we talk about and concentrate on, but those people are actually the most self-loathing and hateful inside. Yeah. And like L. Ron Hubbard, for example, right? On a daily basis behind closed doors, this guy was drinking, hating himself, drugs, etc., and moping about, and begging for people to talk him up, talk him up, right? Talk him off the ledge. So the MLM thing, going back to, why is this cult thing important? Do you know right now, I'm in touch with some people and you're going to see work in the future on this, but do you realize how many millions and millions of people, mostly women, by the way, are victimized by MLM scams and schemes?
Yeah.
Millions, I'm telling you, and it's worldwide. This is not just a United States or Western nation problem at this point. And do you know how many of them come out and have no idea what just happened to them and totally blame themselves? They totally take it on themselves. They believe all the bullshit they were told in the MLM. And they don't ever connect the dots between MLM and cult. And they just don't connect those dots. So they think what they were involved in is different from the Moonies, from Scientology, from, the acting classes, from the bullshit, culty stuff that we talk about all the time. They never even frame it in their own mind that way. It's all about their business and how they failed at it and how they ruined their life, and people don't talk to them anymore and they don't understand why, and they don't have friends that they used to have now. And they're, and maybe their partner is pissed at them, and, and they're really facing some real issues, and they never connect it to all the things we talk about all the time. So this is a whole arena that is directly connected with culty stuff. And if you learn about it, you'll understand MLMs just like that. Because you see it. You see all the same techniques. It's easy once you understand how it all works. And you guys watch my channel. You know how it works. Go look at some MLMs and you'll see all the same stuff. Same with the large group awareness trainings, the forum, these workshop trainings, these weekend retreats. There are millions of these things, by the way.
With the guy or girl at the front that's telling you how to change your life.
That's right, right? This stuff it's out of control. And this has invaded the corporate world. COVID sort of took a nice big sledgehammer to this for a good long time because nobody could get together. Yeah. But they're doing it now, right? And we've seen everything from rather extreme forms of racial awareness training and racism training and gender training to full-blown large group awareness trainings where things are just so completely out of touch with reality that you are absolutely in a cult environment, right? And everything in between these things can get really out of control really fast with people, especially when they have already pre-existing depression, anxiety, ADHD, bipolar, whatever, and they're already dealing with that, and then they get thrown into this environment that they didn't really ask to be in or want to be in, don't understand what's happening, and end up feeling significantly worse or tripped out or weirded out, right? Or again, the bipolar, the euphoria and then the crash, and the euphoria and then the crash. And again, with all the mantras and all the training that gets installed, all the phobia induction that gets installed in these things, they don't know which way is up. And if you know this stuff, then you do know which way is up. You do have some idea of what was what people are trying to do to you, and you can head it off. Henny, in terms of why I said millions of women, is because the majority of MLM activity is directed toward women, housewives, that kind of thing. And so it's sort of marketed in that direction, which is why I believe there is a disproportionate number of women represented in the MLM world, right, you could say, being taken advantage of and victimized. I think it's a targeted demographic. There are plenty of men involved in MLMs, sure, don't get me wrong, right? But when you look at the scale, it's more women. At least that's been my experience so far, and what I've seen and seen statistically.
I mean, it's totally anecdotal and everything, but all of the sort of MLM parties I've been to, they've all been women. You know, the makeup parties or the candle parties or the whatever things they do to try to sell you stuff.
Shit, this goes back to Tupperware parties, guys.
Tupperware parties.
I mean, Amway, right? Herbalife.
Yeah.
I mean, this is old. This stuff goes back. It's not 100 years old yet, but coming up. So, yeah, just about, actually. So this whole MLM scam thing has been practiced for a long time. There's tons of variations, but the model's always, you can same from one place to the next. Okay. Moving along here on our list, there is de-radicalization and exit support as to reasons why to understand this stuff. For those already involved in cults, understanding how they operate can be crucial for de-radicalization and helping people leave these groups. Support services and interventions are often more effective when they are informed by a deep understanding of cult dynamics. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you know, the day of hiring kidnappers to go, you know, take your loved one out of the cult forcibly and all that, those are ancient history days. Those are gone now. And successful interventions consist of making sure before you're even contacting the person in the group, the target of the intervention, that everyone involved completely understands what the hell is going on. And there's like days I've been participated in 2-day, 3-day like trainings for the family members and the friends, the people who care enough to actually step up and do something. We got to train them on how to do this and what it's all about and how the dynamics work, because almost routinely they don't understand. They don't get it. And it's all about it's their fault. There's a lot of blame and there's shame and there's a lot of, you know, especially with families. I mean, because believe me, there's a disproportionate number of people in cults coming out of dysfunctional families.
Sure.
Right. That's one of the emotional needs that drives them into a cult. It's not universal, right, at all. There are plenty of people who get into cults who have perfectly functional families, but there's a lot who don't. And that dysfunction can get in the way of actually doing the intervention. It's been quite an education, educating people on how this stuff works that way. Okay. Societal resilience. Cults can sometimes become destructive and pose threats to society. Understanding how they operate can help authorities and communities respond more effectively to cult-related issues, such as legal actions against cult leaders or providing support for individuals who leave cults. We are barely scratching the surface of this right now, but it is slowly happening. That's, you know, as you saw on my news show, maybe the Accountability Watch, where I'm watching big laws and legislation that's being passed around the country. There was a story on stuff in Colorado here on coercive stuff.
Right.
And people, sexual assault survivors being able to sue, right? That whole thing.
Yeah, like the statute of limitations or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was an attempt to get a window in for those victims, right? Because the statutes had run out. And then in California right now, we have this coercive control law passed. Why does it get passed? Because people are wising up to how this stuff works. That's how, and that's the only way it's going to happen. None of this legislation just happens by itself. It always has advocates and people who are legislators who become convinced because they learn how this works, and they go, "Oh my God, we got to do something about this. Let's get this into law." And that's how it's happened, state by state by state, every case I've seen. So societal resilience is a really important point of this. There's academic research, of course, and there are good academics out there doing good research. I rag on the bad guys all the time, but it's necessary. We need to understand this better. We need to get past the point where a whole body of people in academia can just sit there like flat earthers talking about how brainwashing doesn't exist, thought reform's a fantasy, there are no cult leaders. I mean, I swear to God, you just wouldn't believe these people if you heard them. You just wouldn't believe it. They're that grossly ignorant of the topic. And I say ignorant because it can be cured. It can be fixed. I'm not trying to. This isn't opinion versus opinion, and this isn't like, oh, well, everybody's kind of entitled to their view, or oh, in academia we argue all the time. Yeah, fair enough, but we don't argue about whether the Earth's flat. We just don't argue about that, right? Nobody serious thinks that way. And if you're really a student of human psychology, then you're going to pay attention to this stuff because this is how we work. Okay. Ethics and morality as a point on this, okay? Understanding cults can raise ethical and moral questions about the rights and freedoms of individuals within these groups. This knowledge can inform discussions about legal and ethical boundaries regarding religious or spiritual organizations, and this is everything to interventions, for example. When interventions were being done back in the day where they were just brutalizing the cult members and kidnapping them and tying them up and, even beating on them sometimes. I mean, the crap that went on was insane. And thankfully, it wasn't like widespread and it wasn't everywhere, but it was just people had their heads up their asses. And they needed to figure things out and get through all that. Those issues bring to the forefront the human rights of the cult members. They do have them too. And we have to be cognizant of that and recognize that we have to work within that human rights framework so that when we're talking to people who are part of these groups, they do have the right to believe whatever the hell they want.
Right.
You can't stop them from doing that. And ultimately, we know that.
Yeah,
right?
But you can stop, at least try to stop certain behavior, Oh,
absolutely. Especially if it's criminal.
Yeah.
Right? Where you have the law on your side. But in terms of, their rights too, I'm just bringing it up as a point of this, of like, when you get into the nitty gritty of how this stuff works, you realize that there are two sides to the story. Mm-hmm. Right? And having been there, I'm well versed in that side of the story. And it's not all just stupid stuff. I mean, not all the NRM academics are out to lunch when they talk about freedom of religion and freedom of belief. They're right. People do have those rights, but they don't have the right to abuse other people in the name of freedom of religion, and that's where we draw lines. Okay, so then, of course, prevention of harm. Cults have a history of engaging in harmful practices, including physical, emotional, and financial abuse. Understanding how cults operate can lead to better prevention measures to protect vulnerable individuals from harm. And that's where we're just barely scratching the surface on this with coercive control legislation and slowly changing people's minds and attitudes out of the Stone Age about how beating on people is the only way you abuse them. Not in a modern society. It doesn't. The financial abuse, relationship abuse,
Yep.
stripping people's rights to travel, to move, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And domestic partners do this all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like it's way more prevalent than you might imagine. I don't know. Some of you do imagine, and I think some of you have lived through
elder abuse that happens, where the younger generation of the family is doing awful things to the elderly people in the family, stuff like that.
That's right. That's
It
right.
doesn't have to be physical. It could be all kinds of things. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, as far as Anthony's mentioning Ashton and Mila,
that, yeah.
and just because I was tweeting about it today, I saw those letters that were submitted to the court. This was a news story. Did you see that story?
I saw the news story. I didn't get to read the letters because it was a pay-to-play article, but
yeah,
I can't believe they defended him. That's ridiculous.
Well, the whole point was leniency, right?
Yeah.
It was, please judge, right? Give him these sentences concurrently. Don't give them to him, one after another, right? Put him, because he's such a good father and he cares for his daughter and he does her homework with her over the phone, and, all these sweet sort of anecdotal things. And I'm, maybe all those things are true.
Monsters can hide.
Right. And I know that, based on even, okay, I'm going to go here for a second, and I don't want anybody misunderstanding my intent in doing this. Okay. You know how I feel about Danny Masterson. You know how I feel about Scientology, and you know that I am super happy that this dude is going away for hopefully the rest of his life. Okay. Now, that all being said, remember what we talked about last week about how cults create evil. And Danny Masterson is a second-generation Scientologist who never was asked if he wanted to be a Scientologist any more than I was. And I didn't obviously turn out that way. He did. There's something wrong with that guy, right? But sociopathy is something that can be nourished and nurtured and encouraged in a person. And Scientology does that to people. Let's not forget that. In this whole big picture of this, is there are there are Danny Masterson's victims, and then there's Scientology's victims, right? And that's part of what we're talking about today in terms of understanding this stuff. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't rationalize it. It doesn't make any of it okay. It's just a matter of understanding that this guy has a lot. He's a human being, like I said last week, actually, right? Sociopaths are human beings. They have emotional needs. They have kids. They have feelings. They have this. They have that, right? And I'm not even appealing to, oh, poor Danny Masterson's feelings. That's not my point. My point is that there's a human being there. And these people have experienced a different part of that and are writing to the judge about that. Is that a good idea? Probably not. Not in this case, right? I wouldn't as his friend. But there are people out there who are like, well, they're his friends. They're, his buds, whatever, right? Wouldn't you do that? Don't you get it? And it's kind of like, no, I think there are moral lines that this guy has crossed which are not, returnable from.
I mean, it's not excusable in either case, but there are differences. Like, it's not like it was a one-time thing and it was a confusion over consent and maybe they were both under the influence. It's like, no, this guy was plotting and planning and drugging over and over and over.
That's right.
I mean, these 3 women that were in the trial weren't the only women, So it's like, this guy is not someone that knows how to stop.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is there's 2 things I'll say on this one. Is maybe he did stop.
Maybe, yeah.
Who cares? He never, ever took responsibility for or paid the price for his criminal actions in the past. So maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. Maybe having a kid really changed him. We talked about this last week. It's possible. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Right? That's him having a kid is not ever going to take away the pain and suffering and anguish that he and his bullshit church have created in these women's lives. And there are way more than just those three. We know this. We know this. So, you know, again, not a plea for sympathy or anything like that, but just to the point of the show tonight, right, is understanding brings, oh, okay, I kind of get it now, right? And it helps, I don't know, for me, I know this isn't for everybody, but for me, it helps reduce some of the emotional angst and anger and like of it if I can understand it better. But maybe that's, you know, I know that's not everybody. And yeah, those impact statements were powerful, Juliana. They were very powerful. Okay. So having commented on that, just because I thought I might be able to weave it into the show here, let's go ahead and wrap up with the last one. Public policy and regulation. Knowledge of cult dynamics can inform the development of public policies and regulations aimed at protecting individuals from exploitation by cults. It can also help in crafting laws that strike a balance between religious freedom and public safety. And as covered earlier with that whole thing about laws and stuff, okay? So I hope some of this... Oh, thank you, R.R. Smith. Well, the Jane Does did go to law enforcement, but law enforcement didn't really deal with it. And the church sort of shut the whole thing down and got them to recant or fair game them or, you know, everything that was laid out in the trial. So they did try to go to law enforcement, and that did not work out for them. And frankly, I think that one of the main reasons why this case succeeded is because Me Too has happened.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And awareness is higher now. And just like cult awareness, Me Too awareness, that's no bullshit, right? That's not messing around. There are predators out there, yes. And they have been preying on a lot of women for a long time. And vice versa, by the way.
Oh, sure.
Right? So, yeah. So that's what I can, I don't know. That's my first thought there, RR. I hope that answers that question. So, those are the things I wanted to go over. I had a really fun, I do want to tell you guys, I had a fun time last night. I did 2 live streams in a row, and I know why, and I put them both through my channel. So I think a lot of you guys saw the one I did with Mitch. If you want to check out, just kind of for fun, the other one I did last night, it was with a small channel, and it was just to kind of, you know, they asked me to be interviewed, and I hardly ever say no. Because I always like helping smaller channels and helping people grow their work. And so we had a nice hour talk about Scientology. And as usual in those talks, by the end of the hour, they had more questions than answers. They were like, wow, we feel like we've only just begun. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes. Talking about this. I'm happy that I talk about it in such a way that it provokes more questions and people want to know more about it. I'm happy that's a fairly typical response to when I'm discussing this topic. Okay, so let's get to the phones. Okay, guys. First off, I see Travis in the queue here. So let's pick him up. Hello, you are on.
Hi. Hi, Chris. Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
Hey, Travis. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for taking my call. I'd like to say to the audience that and I've told you this already, Chris, I visited an ideal org this week. In a big city.
Do you want to say which one?
Sure. Let's say it's in the Texas area.
There we go. Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. And how did that visit go? You regaled me with details. It was quite awesome to hear about this.
Well, okay, yeah. So for the audience's information, I'm not becoming a Scientologist, nor am I interested in actually signing up for services. But I was in the major metropolitan area where this church was, or whatever you want to call it, org. I guess it's a Class 6 org. That's what they were calling it.
Class 5. 5.
Class 5? Oh, okay.
It's class 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I saw class 6 written on one of the pieces of paper, or maybe on my mind is screwing with me. I saw a lot of things.
No worries. There are class 6 orgs, but those are Sea Org orgs. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so interrupt me how you want to, because there might be some things that for the audience's benefit,
Sure.
Points to clarify. So I was in the area, and I had all 2 days worth of all day stuff to do, and I did, and then because I was in the area, I just went to the org in the major metropolitan, which is, by the way, that's only like 2 cities in Texas, by the way. You can figure out which ones they are.
Right.
So,
no, well, it's totally fine that we keep it. It's totally fine we keep it on the DL on that one. Not a problem.
Yeah, because, by the way, I'll still be contacting these people just to get more information, books versus whatever. Trust me, I'm not doing this. So I went in there, and for the first day, I went in at 3 p.m. and spent an hour. The second day, I went in at 4 and spent an hour, so a grand total of 2 hours. It's an ideal org, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, if y'all don't go, and I'm talking about the audience, if none of y'all ever go to one, which I pray you don't, but if you're like me and you're just interested, it looks like the inside of a cruise ship. Promise you that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the atrium area. It really does. It looks like go watch The Love Boat, and it's the modern version of you got that guy with the porno mustache coming out, that kind of thing. So I went in there, and I halfway expected somebody to immediately accost me and say, "Come on in, young man." Well, I'm old, but come on in, fella. Take a personality test. It's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
There was a woman, a nice middle-aged woman, sitting at a main desk, and she's a true believer. She guided me around. She said she's been in on staff, and so Chris, you've defined what on staff means. I don't.
Well, that
like
means
she's
a staff member there at that organization, which means she's on a contract for 2.5 or 5 years. It's not the same as a billion-year Sea Org contract.
She doesn't get paid for that, does she?
She does get staff pay as a staff member at the church, but it depends utterly and completely on how much income they make on a week-to-week basis as to how much she's going to make. My usual staff pay when I was in Santa Barbara was about $10 to $15 a week.
Wow.
Do they get free services? Because there's a punchline here, and this is where I'm.
Yes, they do.
Well, they're supposed to, right?
Yep, that's right. That's the main exchange.
She said,
free stuff.
The main exchange, because here's the punchline here. She said she'd been on staff for 12 years.
Yep.
And she said she's almost clear.
Exactly.
I was like,
all too
sweetheart,
typical.
you're almost clear.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, darling, you're almost there after 12 years. I was like, you suck or the organization sucks. So which one is it?
Right.
I didn't tell her this, but
yep.
I was like, you're getting ripped off, or the proper term is shanghaied, but
that's
whatever.
Right.
I'll leave that out.
That's right. I've seen the 2 places I've seen people park is Clear and OT3. That's where most staff sit. They're in for years and years and years, and they crawl their way up the bridge, and then they just end up parking there. And I knew guys in the Sea Org who'd been in the Sea Org for 3 decades, and they were still clear. So, yeah.
All right, now I don't want anybody watching this to think that I'm knocking this woman personally. Mm-hmm. She was extremely kind. I could tell you that she was very sincere, and she had a heart to help people. Okay, that's why she intercept people. Now this was on the 2nd floor, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go up an elevator to get up to the 2nd floor. Now everybody watching this show should know from Chris's previous works about the birthday game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's where you got to get your stats up. Listen, y'all, they had a statue by the elevators that would make the Emmy Award statue of that angel holding up a globe. It puts it to shame.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys something. I'm not going to say when that joint was founded, but literally they won the birthday game that same year. They, with a straight face, they were describing this to me. I'm like, y'all, you won your stats were 0. How are you not going to win the most improved stats that same year? I mean, like,
exactly. And of course, like, and let's be clear that they totally rigged that game, by the way, in favor. They totally have the thumb on the scales for the ideal orgs, right? The places that they've renovated. So just to put that out there.
Well, they spent a lot of money on the renovation. I can tell you that much. I mean, look, it's like, think about it like this. My first birthday, anybody's first birthday, you are 100% older. You will never match that again, ever. Same thing with that. When you go from 0 to whatever, that's 100%. You can't get any better. And you get to be old, it's like now you're 2% older. Okay. I was just like, y'all are stupid. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, it's like talking to children. So they didn't have a lot of staff in there. Now, Chris, you've talked a lot about how these ideal orgs are empty.
Mm-hmm.
This place was mostly empty. There was me. There was a body router chick, which whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
I live here in Texas. Everybody drives everywhere. It's the same. Stupid. They're not body routing anybody, especially not out in this heat. It's 110 degrees. What are they doing? There was an auditor, which that's a whole different story. And then there were 2 teenage boys talking to the pretty auditor girl. I mean, that would have been a dream come true when I was 16. I would have lost my mind. An actual woman who wants to listen to me, they still don't want to listen to me. At 16, that would have been, I would have gotten a cot and slept out in the front. She talked to me, and she was very kind, and she told me that she was a listener. And earlier, Chris, you talked about emotional needs and how cults satisfy those emotional needs.
Yep.
Well, most people have the need for having a peer and or romantic partner who listens to them. And when it comes to these type of interpersonal relationships, I can see where these auditors halfway quasi fill these needs, these emotional needs, especially when they got eyes like the size of saucers and they look at you. It's something else. And somebody who's lonely, it's like for teenage boys, forget it. All the chemicals go off in your brain. I don't know. Maybe they have attractive guys doing it too. I don't know about that, but I would assume they do.
No, you're nailing it. You are nailing it right now. This is exactly how I got in, was exactly what you're talking right now, is what I was picking up when I was 16 years old, 15 years old, coming into that church for the first time. So, yeah, it's you got it.
This woman had blonde hair like you couldn't believe. Listen, if I were 15, I saw her at a stroke. I would be dead. Okay. Like, I'd have died right there. I'd have keeled over. They'd have been like, this kid's dead. We need to put him out in the parking lot. Say somebody stabbed him or something.
All right. Now,
okay.
We might need to continue this next week because I have another call in the queue I need to take. And we're coming toward the end, and I don't want to cut you off, but because I know there's more here, but I have to be time aware as well.
All right, no worries. So
Okay.
I will pick up. I've got a list of the things, the points that I want to hit, because there are a lot of things that I want to bring up. I'll leave it at this week. That and Chris, this is a pat on the back for you. All of y'all watching this program, Chris is not lying to you. Everything that he has said on this program, I literally encountered it. Not everything. I didn't encounter Xenu, but practically everything. Chris has said it. And so next week we can follow up the part 2 of my fun times excursion to the org, which is in a nice part of town. So,
Awesome.
All right, thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling, Travis. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Awesome. Cool guy. All right, let's pick this up. And hello, France.
Hello, wonderful. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you for calling in from across the pond. How are things over there?
Well, when I see Melissa and you, I always see better. And I have to say, I really miss Melissa. I had a couple of tough weeks. I couldn't follow up. But when I see her and you, it's always a good thing. And Travis, the guy before, oh my God, he's epic. Oh my God, he's so cool. I
know,
love
right?
to hear stories. Oh my God, I can't wait for next week or whenever he's calling back in. And I mean, he's so entertaining. And Travis, if you're listening, thumbs
Probably.
up.
Yeah. He said he'll probably show up in the
wow.
comments here. Awesome. Well, what were you calling about this evening? How can we help you?
Well, I call because, first of all, I'm not sure if that fits now, but I want to thank you both for the work you've done. We know now Danny Masterson has been convicted for life.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but you both did a big job on that. You both did over years. And I know you might struggling with, not getting the audience, but you did actually the work. You were educating the people with your factual reports, however you can describe it. You were the ones bringing it in, and I want to thank you for that.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Thank you. You did also a great job on that. And I wanted to say one thing about the part with victim statements and the people that supported him and saying, he's a good father, has a daughter, whatsoever. What I can say as a victim of domestic violence and a victim, it doesn't matter if you're in a cult. You know when you drink too much. You know when you eat too much. You know when you're over the limit. It doesn't matter if you're in a cult or not. It's a usual thing. You're not stupid.
Exactly.
That's the point I'm trying. You know it. It's the discipline. It's the will. It's, I'm going to abuse this woman. I'm putting this into this drink. I'm going to do the next step. He knew it.
That's
and
right.
There is the limit.
That's right.
And how does his daughter, at a point, cope with that? Knowing, because she's not stupid as well. At a point, she will grow up and she will think, my dad did that to women. Why? And there is a problem for this child and all the victims that are not maybe able to have children because they have to deal with this permanent depression and whatsoever, and the outcome of all of this insanity of doing such a crime, right?
Big time.
I'm not able to put it into words. When you do such a thing, you know it. You know.
That's right.
I am going to do something bad to someone. And maybe insanity, blah, 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 but you put this into a drink. You know it. You go into a club. We know it. All of us are scared when our children nowadays go to clubs and they are youngsters and we know they put things into drinks. Those people do it with intention.
That's right.
And that's what scares me the most. That scares me the most. It has not much to do with the cult. There is no excuse. There is no more excuse for it.
No, I get it.
Willing.
I totally get it. I do. What I'm trying to say is, for me personally, going through abuse by myself, and I think that the pattern of doing it once and then twice. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah.
You're not doing it once. I mean, you do it twice and you know exactly what you're doing.
Exactly.
And you know exactly what happened the first time. Okay? And you don't think about your daughter in that sense. And I apologize to the daughter. I don't want to talk bad about her dad. I don't know. But what is with the victims? And what has this child go through? And what has those...
Right.
For me personally, I just want to say, those women that came up and had the force, and thanks to you who always support you both, supported Tony with his reports, and everybody in YouTube actually is going to say Tony Ortega, Substacks, and we all rely on his stories, but we never say it. But it's Tony Ortega and you, Chris, who bring up the stories. That's how it is.
Thank you.
And then later they make a big video and they talk about it, but they never say blah, blah. But that's my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm European.
No worries.
Forget it.
No
but
worries.
The truth, in my opinion, is that they knew it, they did it.
Yep.
And thanks to guys of you, both of you, and Tony, and many others who really did the great work and speak up for the victims. And that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful evening. I love you both very much, and thank you so much. And that's
awesome.
it. Sorry.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
All right.
I love
Night.
you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, so cute. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
This is not a thankless job. I am thanked often, and it's always, it's always really nice. Thank you. Because this is a lot of hard work doing this. So it's nice to know that it's actually doing something. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap up tonight, guys. Okay, so we have a few things. Okay, why don't you do this while I tell them about tomorrow's podcast is going to be with Apostate Alex. We recorded it a few weeks ago, and actually this is one of those rare times where events have overtaken it a little bit, in that we discuss an awful lot about the United Kingdom and Scientology and finances there. That's what the podcast is tomorrow. And we also discuss the UK tax exemption and the fact that Scientology is probably trying to overcome that and get their tax exemption. Well, the good news is this week, the UK government issued a statement of some kind. I didn't see all of it. I just know that this happened, that they are not granting Scientology tax exempt status, and they are not going to be allowing appeals on that decision.
Oh, great.
So, Scientology is not a group. Just to be super clear about this, guys, Scientology is not a group that is ever going to give up. So the UK government can say that, but Scientology is going to go to the books, and they're going to try to figure out a way around that, or a workaround. And so I think still everything we had to say about that topic and everything else that we discussed in the podcast is entirely relevant. So, and you guys will see when you hear it. It's a good show. So you guys will have that to look forward to. And my plan is to pre-record a Q&A, but that is subject to change. So stay tuned. And of course, you'll have your After Scientology Straight Up and Vertical on Monday. And it was live streams this week. We'll see what happens this next week. I don't know that I'm going to throw the news channel, the news show up live Thursday yet. I might give it a couple weeks. I'm still tuning and getting things the way I want it to be on that still, but that's what's happening there. Okay, so that's my predictions as best I can give you for my work. What do we have for our critical thinking card?
Your bias is the backfire effect.
Oh,
when your core beliefs are challenged, it can cause you to believe them even more strongly. We can experience being wrong about some ideas as an attack upon our very selves or our tribal identity. This can lead to motivated reasoning, which causes us to reinforce a broader narrative despite disconfirming evidence relating to a particular fact.
Well, I just don't think that's true at all. I knew it wasn't true when she started reading it, and I'm doubly sure that it's not true now. How you like them apples? Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for coming around. We always appreciate your viewership and your support. Thank you for all the super chats during the show. Please do support the channel and the show through Patreon, PayPal, Venmo. Links are below. Also, buy me a coffee. You can buy me a slice. I set that up as well. There's a link for that now too. And you all have a great weekend. All right. And on that happy note, good night.